Okay, guys, I have been waiting to talk to you about my play experience with Watch Dogs 2 for a while now. I was waiting on gameplay B-roll from Ubisoft, but they sent me a bunch of videos from the house that we played in. And yeah, they have this cool social experiential experience for the game, and it was really cool because the game we played in looked like the game from the house from the game in the demo and all that stuff. And that's awesome, but that doesn't tell you anything about the game, right? Right. So I'm going to tell you about the game because that's what matters. Now, Watch Dogs, the original, I liked it and I finished it. And finishing that game, I think, puts me in a minority just to begin with. But there was the tendency to get lost in chapter 1 and have the game lose cohesion and become pointless, and the driving sucked, and the main character was deliberately unlikable, and that was an experiment that didn't seem to work for the vast majority of players. So all that is... It's hard to say from the demo whether the getting lost in the game has been improved, but the other two things definitely improved. The first thing I tried was the driving. The poor guy that was showing me, the basics of how to play the game, he was trying to get me to do stuff, and he was an art guy. He wasn't a level design guy or programming guy, so he was a lot nervous at the beginning, and I was like, I immediately got in the car and tried to drive it around to see if it was better, and without a doubt, the driving is notably better. The cars actually handle. They don't go flying off the road just by touching the stick to the right or the left. And the cars I found are a lot more fun. There's a lot more cars played for laughs. My favorite part of the experience, one of my favorite parts of the experience, it's a close tie for first between this and my other experience, but was driving a taco truck while being chased by these 3 police cars, and the taco trucks are apparently tanks, because I was driving all over the place. I didn't know what I was doing. I finally ended up blowing myself up trying to hack on the fly one of these exploding things in the road, but it was fun. It was fun. And the hacking, there's a lot more to do. It's not just looking into people's, emails and draining their bank accounts and stuff like that. You can actually remote control cars. You can hack into these smart homes, and all the stuff with smart homes in the media of late has really put me off the idea of a smart home. I like antiques, and I'm not prepared to call my home a dumb home, but no one can hack my home. But it, the driving was fun, significantly improved from the first one. The scene where you hack into the home to get this intel for DedSec it had a ton of humor. There was humor all through it, but the experience I had was there's a lot of different stuff. It's almost overwhelming when you first start how many things there are to do. And so there were these little robots, and they really lead you into it, because you steal, in the first part of the demo, you steal this robot from a factory, and that was a very standard Splinter Cell style level where you go in, and the quote-unquote right way to play is stealth, but you can shoot your way out if you want. I summoned this rival gang to sort of take some people out, but then the cops came and I had to sort of sneak around that, and it was cool. I screwed up 3 times and then got it right, and the game didn't fail out, which I really enjoyed. It felt more... I hate using the term realistic in a game, because it's not about being realistic, it's about being fun. But there isn't a right way or a wrong way to do it. You just have to sort of dope it out until you get through. And then, and unfortunately, apparently a lot of people stop after that part. There's nothing really new about that part. It's just, hey, the driving works, because it's one of, Ubisoft's, always there, drive while you're being chased mission. It's all through all their games, except for Splinter Cell. And I like Splinter Cell. But the second part, where you have to hack into this home, First of all, it was an artfully designed level, because if you take the easy way in, which is a skylight through the roof, it's a lot harder to get out. But it's really hard to get in the other way, so you have to decide where are you going to put your effort in? On the way in or on the way out? And there are these robots that you can hack. The problem is the robots sort of shock anyone in proximity, and if you hack them in a certain way, they become amorous. And don't be the closest person to the robot when it becomes amorous, because it does things that, are not obscene, but somehow seem obscene. I was like, hey, what's this robot doing? I need to grow one up. But it was fun. And that's the point of games. They're fun. And Watch Dogs 2 has all the fun that the first one seemed to deliberately avoid. There's a point to it. It's still got a very strong sense of right and wrong and good and evil and all that stuff. But all the characters are just nuts. Like the whole base, I spent so much time walking around just seeing the Easter eggs in the base, the unicorn farting fire and the garden gnome and the, coin op Far Cry Blood Dragon machine and all this stuff. I was chuckling to myself. And the base is underneath like a comic book shop, like a comic book and gaming shop. So it's this like nerd love letter, which is awesome. But the characters are larger than life. And that's what I think Assassin's Creed does exceptionally well. And it's like they took the limiter off the writers, because like I didn't have a lot of time with the characters because I spent a lot of time in mission, but there's this spark to the characters. You kind of get a sense of who they are and what they're about right away. And it definitely has that sort of Saints Row absurdity feel to it, which I am very happy about. I really enjoy Saints Row, and it doesn't seem like we're going to get a Saints Row game for the foreseeable future, a new one. So this is really good. It's definitely open worldy with a lot to do, unlike the cell phone and the whole thing. And the soundtrack in the cars is good too. It's a good mix. So there's a lot to like, but obviously that big question of Ubisoft bugs comes up, and the build I was playing was a very early beta, apparently, and it did glitch. It did that typical thing where, anybody who's played Assassin's Creed for any period of time is aware of this bug. You end up getting stuck in a part of the environment, and so you've kind of fallen half through a world, and so you can't move. The character is animating, it's running, but you actually can't get out of it. No matter what you do, you're stuck. And that did happen. And so they had to sort of reset it after that. I broke the game. It was there was a bug, and I'm hoping that because it is an early beta, they'll be fixing that. But I wanted to report that because it is there. So you may, and I'm really torn here because the game is so much silly fun that I am willing to forgive bugs like that, because usually they have an autosave, and it happened when I wasn't very far into that sort of, module of the mission, and so I lost nothing by having to reset it. But if bugs bother you a lot, I would wait and see what the final version is like. If you are prepared to deal with bugs because it's hilarious and funny, and you want to get chased by the cops in a tank-like taco truck, then this game is it is to Watch Dogs 1 what Assassin's Creed 2 was to Assassin's Creed 1, and I'm really glad I called that, because when Watch Dogs came out and everybody, it's flawed and all that stuff, I'm like, yeah, but that's what happened with Assassin's Creed, and the original Assassin's Creed was an interesting idea, but it still had some stuff to work out, and in the second one, they got it, and it was like 6 games of awesome or something like that. I don't know how many Ezio games they did, but it seemed like a lot. It seemed like we spent like 5 years in that timeline, but there is a lot of color to it. There is a lot of humor to it. There is a lot of humanity to it. And I like that. I mean, the sheer comedy of it is enough for me because, like I said, it plays very much in the spirit of Saints Row 3 and 4, kind of like right down the middle, with some Grand Theft Auto and then a definite, you know, splash of Ubisoft, for lack of a better term, in it. So I'm sorry I don't have gameplay for you. If I do get some stuff, I will show you guys later. I was hoping to get in-game footage, but I wanted to, because I know that people are sort of humming and hawing and deciding whether to pre-order. So that's my experience that way. And hopefully I will be able to actually show you some stuff next week. But I didn't want it to date because it was last week and I wanted to talk about it and, you know, maintain the excitement and all that stuff. Because I really did have fun. I mean, the bugs aside and the fact that it is very familiar from a gameplay experience. Not that that's a bad thing. I think it actually is a good thing because the controls are very complicated. For someone just picking up and playing this game, there's going to be this period of what's going on, especially with the hacking on the fly while you're in the car. That is super fumbly. But if you've played any sort of Ubisoft game with a stealth component, you take to it exceptionally quickly. I think the reason to play it is the goofy fun and the Easter eggs and the larger-than-life characters and the sheer power and freedom you get in the world. It's just goofball, right? Like, you can drive other people's cars, like you're radio controlling them, and you can create distractions with the environment in a way that feels much more organic than any game I've ever played. You know, instead of it being that one thing of cause distraction, you can create a distraction out of anything in the environment. It's like the next step in terms of open world game freedom in that way. And that's sort of the technical innovation that I find very, very cool. Just, it's a fun game aside. I really, really like that. So that's my take on Watch Dogs 2. Like I said, maybe we'll have more later.